So what will happen to your HDB flat in an event of a divorce? Right, in today's episode, we'll find out. Hi everyone, my name is Casey from Home Quarters, and at Home Quarters, we specialize in customized marketing strategy to properly expose your unit for sale. Alright, in this episode, we'll find out what exactly happened to an HDB flat if you are looking to divorce. So firstly, we have to determine the ownership of the HDB flat after a divorce. Very importantly, we have to determine whether or not this HDB flat is a matrimonial asset. And so what is a matrimonial asset? If the HDB flat was acquired by the couple as part of a joint application or under the HDB fiancé-fiancée scheme, then it is a matrimonial asset. This means that in the event of a divorce, like all other assets owned by the couple, it will be divided between them as determined by the court order. But what if the HDB flat was acquired by one party before the marriage, and then when it comes time to marry, the other party just move in? Or is an inheritance from a deceased parent of one of the party? Then is this considered a matrimonial asset? Right, most of the time it is not considered a matrimonial asset in this case. However, the flat can be considered a matrimonial asset if the flat is enjoyed by the couple and their children for shelter, transportation, household, education, recreation, social and aesthetic purposes, or the flat was substantially improved during the marriage by either or both of them. Then it becomes a matrimonial asset. Who typically determine whether or not this asset is a matrimonial asset? Now, of course, it goes down to the family court, whether or not the court is determined if, let's say, this flat is a matrimonial asset, right? The final judgment actually goes to them. There are two conditions: the divorce with or without child or children, right? Let's dive into the first one. Right, divorce with a child or children. If let's say the court has given a court order, right, for custody, right, care and control of a child or children of the marriage to one of the couple, that person, right, that have the custody can consider to have a family nucleus. Single parent with the child, that forms a family nucleus, and then they can retain the HDB flat using this family nucleus, right? This actually meet one of HDB criteria for retention of the HDB flat. A second requirement is that particular single parent that have got the custody of the child or children have to be financially qualified to take on the home loan of the entire HDB flat. Lastly, to retain the property, the divorce cannot be due to non-consummation of marriage or annulment. Alright, so that is very important. Okay, second, if let's say it is a divorce but without children, what will happen? There is no children in the marriage and one of the party wish to retain the entire HDB flat. They have to satisfy three criteria. The three criteria actually falls into the single Singaporean scheme in order to own the flat. Firstly, you have to be a Singapore citizen. Secondly, you have to be 35 years old or older. Right, and thirdly, the HDB flat that is actually being purchased has not, right, obtained a grant, a family grant. For a matrimonial flat bought directly from HDB, meaning BTO, or resale flats bought with CPF housing grant for family, the 5 years minimum occupation period still do apply, and it must be satisfied before you can retain the house, right, as a Singaporean citizen. Essentially, it's like you and your partner or ex-partner, right, selling to yourself. Right, so two person become one person, right? So this is how it goes. Alternatively, you can include another person like one of your parents, right, that does not own a private property or a HDB flat to retain the flat with, but this is subjected to eligibility condition and scheme from HDB. So lastly, if neither of the party can retain the flat or choose not to retain the flat, then the next best course of action will then to sell it. That's when an experienced agent, right, comes into play. Of course, if you have completed the minimum occupation period, then easily it is to sell off your HDB flat in the resale market, right? That is the most simple thing you can do. It is treated as a normal transaction, right? Both parties need to agree to the price and the terms by the buyer, and they can actually sell it in the open market. But of course, if let's say you have not completed the minimum occupation period, right, there is a chance that you have to return the flat back to HDB bought at a prevailing compensation price. Sales proceeds from the sales of the flat will then be used to pay off any outstanding mortgage loan and reimbursement to the CPF with accrued interest. The remaining balance will then be divided between you and your ex-spouse according to the court order for divorce. So when selling the HDB flat, two important documents that we always need to look out for. Firstly, is the final judgment for divorce, meaning that the divorce is clear and already finalized. That's number one. This will take some time to be generated as the process can be quite lengthy. Secondly, is the court order. Court order is needed because we need to know at the end of the day how much of the sales proceed is apportioned to each of the party in the divorce case. Right, so these two things are actually very important. If let's say there are any friends and family that are going through a divorce and need to offload and sell off their property, do contact us at Home Quarters and we will try our best to help them through this very difficult time at www.homequarters.com.sg/contact us. Thank you.